Whether you're starting your day or catching up later, grab your mug, coffee or tea, because we're going deep today. Really deep. You're listening to Auto Intelligence, and I'm Steve, here with Claire for what might be our most comprehensive episode yet.
And I'm Claire. Today we're doing a complete deep dive into From the Transactional Age to the Intelligence Age, a free ebook at autoagentic.ai/book. This isn't a vendor pitch. It's a genuine attempt to give automotive professionals the frameworks we desperately need for navigating AI transformation.
We're dedicating this entire episode to walking through this resource because, frankly, it's the most thorough analysis of where our industry is heading that I've encountered. 12 comprehensive chapters, plus practical appendix tools.
What strikes me is how this builds a complete narrative arc. It's not just random insights about AI, it tells the story of how organizations transform from using AI tools to becoming intelligent enterprises, and why that distinction will define competitive advantage going forward.
So let's take our time with this. Each chapter builds on the previous one, and the progression matters for understanding not just what's changing, but why it's changing now and what it means for every automotive professional.
Chapter 1 opens with "You can't adopt artificial intelligence," and that title immediately stops you in your tracks. It challenges the fundamental assumption driving most AI strategies today.
Right, because the conventional wisdom is that AI is just another technology wave. Evaluate tools, pilot the promising ones, measure results, scale what works. We've done this dance before with CRM, with digital marketing, with service platforms.
But the chapter argues this approach is actually preventing organizations from achieving what AI makes possible. The central insight is that most automotive organizations believe they're successfully implementing AI when they're actually building sophisticated fragmentation.
Let me unpack that because it's crucial. When you walk into dealerships today, you see AI everywhere. ChatGPT for writing, AI features in CRM for lead scoring, machine learning in marketing for targeting, predictive analytics in service for demand forecasting. By any surface measure, the industry is deep into AI adoption.
And that progress feels real because each system delivers value. Service scheduling gets more efficient, lead response improves, inventory forecasting becomes more accurate, marketing targeting gets more precise. These aren't theoretical benefits, they show up in monthly reports.
But here's where the chapter gets uncomfortable. It argues that almost all this activity is aimed at the wrong problem. We think we're in an optimization phase, selecting better tools, integrating them more tightly, measuring ROI more accurately.
When in reality, we've entered something far more consequential, the architecture phase of an intelligence transformation. The problem is, this shift is happening without widespread recognition because there's no historical precedent for organizations becoming intelligent.
The chapter contrasts what most people think AI transformation looks like versus what it actually requires. Most people imagine evaluating AI tools by function, piloting promising ones, measuring results, scaling successes, optimizing integration over time until eventually you have an organization using AI effectively.
This approach made perfect sense in the digital age because digital systems were designed to automate work, standardize processes, improve execution. Each wave made organizations faster and more measurable without changing what organizations themselves were capable of being.
But AI is different. It doesn't just automate activity, it learns. It doesn't just execute processes, it forms models. It doesn't just optimize functions. For the first time, systems can observe the organization as a whole, learn from every interaction, and allow discoveries in one area to reshape decisions in another.
When that becomes possible, the organization is no longer just using innovative tools. It's acquiring new capacities. How it understands customers, coordinates work, improves itself, makes decisions, reorganizes around what it learns.
This is where AI stops being something the organization uses and becomes something the organization is built around. The central question shifts from what tools should we deploy to what kind of organization are we now designing?
The chapter illustrates this with two organizations facing the same challenge, improving service experience and increasing retention. Organization A implements AI-powered scheduling, deploys chatbots for communication, uses machine learning to identify at-risk customers, applies AI recommendations to service follow-up.
Each system is intelligent. Each deployment produces insight. Each function improves. But intelligence lives inside tools. There's no shared memory, no unified context, no enterprise learning layer. Each system optimizes what it can see, leadership reconciles the rest.
Organization B builds unified customer intelligence that learns from every interaction across sales, service, communications. They design predictive systems that anticipate needs before problems surface, create coordination layers that shape decisions across departments, establish continuous learning loops where outcomes reshape future behavior.
The first organization improves performance. The second constructs new capabilities. One gets faster, the other becomes fundamentally different. And that difference determines whether intelligence compounds across the enterprise or fragments inside it.
This isn't an implementation distinction. It's the difference between applying intelligence and being structured around it. That difference determines competitive positioning for the next decade of automotive business.
Chapter 2. Why this history determines your AI outcome provides crucial context that most automotive leaders don't realize they need. It traces 70 years of AI development to explain why the coordination problems we're experiencing today mirror exactly what stalled AI progress for decades.
The narrative starts with Alan Turing in 1950, who was already dissatisfied with how the AI problem was being framed. Everyone was asking, can machines think? But Turing found that philosophically slippery and practically useless.
So he reframed the challenge. Instead of asking whether machines could think, he wondered whether they could behave intelligently enough that humans couldn't reliably tell the difference. Intelligence wasn't a static property, but a dynamic capability.
Turing was pointing towards systems that could adapt, respond to context, coordinate behavior in the face of uncertainty. He understood that real intelligence would come from machines capable of learning, integrating information, modifying their own structures over time.
But then, the chapter traces the failures. By the end of the 1960s, early neural networks had shown machines could recognize patterns and improve with exposure. For a moment, learning machines seemed within reach.
Then Marvin Minsky and Seymour Papert published their analysis, showing neural networks were incapable of solving entire classes of problems, specifically those requiring coordination of multiple dimensions of information.
The gap between promise and reality became painfully obvious. What followed wasn't correction, it was collapse. Funding evaporated. Research was abandoned. The field concluded not that methods were immature, but fundamentally flawed.
As neural approaches fell out of favor, AI divided into two traditions. At MIT, intelligence was pursued through logic, building systems that manipulated structured representations, followed rules, derived conclusions through inference.
Expert systems emerged from this tradition and within narrow domains worked remarkably well. Medical diagnostics, equipment configuration, financial decision trees all demonstrated machines could outperform humans under tightly constrained conditions.
But they couldn't evolve, they couldn't transfer knowledge, they couldn't reconcile conflicting signals or adapt to changing conditions. Each system was an island of intelligence, brittle and expensive to maintain.
At Carnegie Mellon, researchers focused on building machines capable of functioning in complex environments. Their work produced early robotics, automated systems, and measurable business value. The Roan Expert System saved Digital Equipment Corporation tens of millions annually.
Yet these successes encountered the same boundary. Each system operated independently. None could coordinate, none could learn across contexts, none could build organizational intelligence.
By the late 80s, limitations became undeniable. Expert systems collapsed under their own complexity. Every new rule destabilized others. Maintenance overtook innovation. The second AI winter arrived.
What the field had run into twice was not failure of ambition or funding or talent. It was failure of architecture. The ideas were bold enough, resources were real, expertise was unquestionable. What was missing was structure capable of supporting intelligence itself.
While most of the research world turned away from neural networks, Geoffrey Hinton didn't. He believed early failures weren't proof that learning machines were impossible. They were proof the structure was incomplete.
In 1986, he and collaborators showed how neural networks could be trained in depth so mistakes at output could travel backward and reshape how systems learned internally. Instead of hard-coding intelligence, machines could build it.
This solved exactly the problem Minsky had exposed. Neural networks could finally coordinate multiple layers of information to handle real complexity. Almost no one paid attention. Machines were too slow, datasets too small, commercial interest lay elsewhere.
So Hinton stepped out of the spotlight into patience. He moved to Toronto not for capital, but for time. Supported by Canadian research institutions, he built a lab pursuing a single question for 2 decades: how complex systems learn to organize themselves.
While the rest of the industry optimized applications, his group studied the structure of intelligence itself, how depth stabilizes learning, how representations emerge, how multiple signals are reconciled inside single models.
A generation of researchers passed through that environment trained not to build products but to solve coordination. When hardware finally caught up with GPUs making large-scale computation practical, the theories were ready.
In 2012, that proof arrived on a global stage. ImageNet was the world's most demanding visual intelligence benchmark. For years, progress had been slow and incremental. Then a system from Hinton's lab shattered the field.
It didn't just perform better, it performed differently. It showed layered learning systems could absorb massive complexity, organize it internally, generalize what they learned into new situations.
Within months, every major technology company began quietly rebuilding around this realization. The shift wasn't about vision, it was about coordination. Language systems began integrating knowledge across domains. Learning systems stopped executing scripts and started developing strategies.
For the first time, artificial intelligence was no longer a collection of narrow tools. It became architectural. What's often missed is where that threshold was crossed, inside a Canadian research culture that valued long horizons over quarterly returns.
The deep learning revolution didn't begin inside a product company. It started where neural networks were allowed to fail, mature, evolve without needing to justify themselves as products. Canada supplied the patience. The world supplied the leverage.
The result wasn't better tools, it was a new technological foundation capable of learning, coordinating, scaling intelligence itself. That foundation is what Automotive is now standing on.
For 70 years, AI ran into the same invisible wall. Systems could compute with extraordinary speed, classify patterns with superhuman accuracy, optimize processes beyond human capability, but they couldn't coordinate.
That wall has now moved, not because of single invention, but because architectural foundations finally caught up to ambition, learning systems mature enough to maintain context across domains, hardware scaled to support real-time coordination.
The exact boundary that constrained AI for 7 decades is becoming the defining boundary of automotive competition. Not whether AI tools can automate workflows, but whether intelligence can flow seamlessly across the entire enterprise.
From this point forward, competitive advantage will be determined not by which AI applications you deploy, but whether your enterprise has been architected to hold intelligence, to accumulate it, coordinate it, allow it to compound.
Chapter 3, AI Literacy for Automotive Leaders, tackles something most executives don't realize they need, but absolutely must have: the literacy required to make good strategic calls about intelligent systems.
This isn't about turning leaders into AI engineers. It's about understanding what kind of systems you're introducing into organizations that were never designed to hold them. Because AI doesn't fail the way traditional software fails.
When traditional software breaks, it stops. When AI breaks, it keeps going confidently. In automotive, confidently wrong quickly becomes customer experience disaster, compliance problem, or liability event.
The chapter starts with the first misunderstanding. AI isn't smarter software. Most automotive leaders approach AI like they approached digital transformation. Buy tool, plug in, train team, measure ROI.
That worked in the digital age because tools were designed to automate specific tasks within specific departments. They didn't need to understand the organization or make decisions. They executed rules.
AI is different. It isn't primarily a rules engine, it's a pattern engine. Traditional software runs on instructions: if X, then Y. AI runs on inference based on training Y is likely to work.
You're not buying features. You're buying systems that produce judgment-like output under uncertainty, based on data, context, objectives. AI doesn't behave like tools. It behaves like new workforce that's fast, scalable, but inconsistent, improvable, sometimes wrong.
At its core, AI is software that can do 4 things simultaneously that once required human cognition: recognize patterns, form predictions, generate language or content, take action inside workflows.
This feels magical not because it thinks, but because it can detect patterns across volumes we cannot process. model futures we cannot hold in our heads, act across scales no human system ever could.
But every AI output is statistical inference about what's most likely to happen next. Intelligence is always bounded by what it was trained on, what it can see right now, what it's being optimized to pursue.
Those aren't vendor variables. They're leadership variables. They determine what intelligence is allowed to form, influence, become. No platform can choose them for you. No model can resolve them. No partner can carry that responsibility.
Which is why human leadership becomes more critical in the intelligence age, not less. Not to override intelligence, but to design conditions under which it's allowed to exist.
Chapter 4 introduces a concept that explains what every automotive leader is experiencing but hasn't been able to name. Why adding AI tools creates coordination debt.
There's this moment many organizations experience after AI starts working. Few pilots are live, vendors are performing, dashboards look better, marketing is more targeted, sales is more informed, service is more predictive, progress is happening.
But something quietly changes. Decisions take longer to land. Alignment takes more effort to manufacture. Conversations multiply instead of resolving. Teams leave meetings with more to reconcile, not less.
Despite having more intelligence than ever before, the organization becomes harder to steer, not less busy, less coherent. This moment rarely triggers alarms because it usually arrives when things are going well.
The chapter explains this as the structural shift most organizations miss. Digital tools moved information, AI systems generate meaning, and meaning has to be coordinated.
At first, adding AI tools feels like progress. Leaders see better insights, teams feel more informed, decisions appear more data-driven. But intelligence is contained inside functions where it's deployed as tools.
Because each AI system learns, optimizes, reasons locally, the organization begins accumulating multiple, unaligned intelligences. This is when coordination debt begins forming, the hidden organizational cost accumulating when intelligence is introduced through separate tools instead of shared architecture.
Every AI system creates its own pocket of intelligence. It sees its own data, learns its own patterns, optimizes its own objectives, generates its own version of what should happen next.
Each produces signals, predictions, recommendations, priorities, optimizations. Each is form of judgment. But when those judgments are produced inside isolated tools, platforms, vendors, they don't accumulate into organizational intelligence. They accumulate into separate points of view.
Without shared intelligence architecture, there's nothing allowing these intelligences to reconcile themselves. That work moves to people. Humans become coordination layer between machines.
Coordination debt forms wherever the organization must increasingly reconcile conflicting intelligence, arbitrate between system outputs, translate meaning across departments, manufacture alignment through meetings, resolve contradictions manually, slow decisions down to reconstruct context.
The organization stops scaling intelligence. It scales interpretation. This is compounding cost of tool-based AI. Not license fees or infrastructure spend, but leadership bandwidth, decision latency, organizational drag.
The chapter traces why this happens. Psychology, economics, culture all reward this reflex. Leaders who successfully navigated previous digital transformations operate from experience watching organizations modernize by layering platforms, improving functions.
The market reinforces the interpretation. Most AI products are sold as extensions of existing systems, smarter CRMs, predictive marketing platforms, intelligent service tools. The messaging isn't architectural, it's incremental.
The economics stabilize the pattern. Individual AI tools can be scoped, piloted, owned, justified, measured, forecast. They fit inside existing procurement and governance processes. The financial logic of buying another system is familiar.
CFO is far better equipped to evaluate single-point AI solution than underwrite architectural shift lacking historical template. Even optics align. Portfolio of AI initiatives looks like momentum. Roadmap of pilots looks like innovation.
Which means most organizations don't choose coordination debt. They finance it. Not because they misunderstand technology, but because they're applying the only transformation logic that has reliably worked.
The paradox is that organizations with most resources are often least able to move first. Large automotive enterprises carry immense operational responsibility that cannot pause while intelligence is redesigned.
AI intelligence architecture requires foundational change, unifying data access, redefining how systems learn, deciding where coordination authority lives, shifting from platform ownership to intelligent stewardship.
For established organizations, every architectural decision touches dozens of dependent systems. Every attempt to unify intelligence risks destabilizing processes that currently work.
This is why the safer path is almost always to extend rather than rebuild. Add intelligence to what already exists. Attach AI to familiar workflows. Let each function modernize on its own terms.
But AI initiatives don't behave like past technology programs. These aren't additive projects, they're reconstructive ones. You don't add intelligence to organization designed for transactions. You reconstruct the organization around how intelligence moves.
The last time automotive faced this kind of shift, it wasn't solved by buying better tools. Henry Ford didn't add machinery to craft production. He rebuilt production around new organizing principle.
Smaller, younger, structurally lighter competitors aren't carrying the same weight. They can design intelligence first and wrap operations around it. They can treat coordination as foundational capability rather than patch.
This asymmetry matters because source of advantage is changing. In previous eras, advantage scaled with physical reach, capital efficiency, operational throughput. In Intelligence Age, it increasingly scales with architecture.
Intelligence cannot be bolted on one tool at a time. The chapter concludes that coordination debt is a predictable outcome of introducing intelligence into structures designed for transactions.
Chapter 5 presents the Intelligence Pyramid, a framework showing 7 recognizable stages organizations move through as they shift from AI usage to AI intelligence.
This isn't a checklist, but developmental path. Each stage produces capabilities the next stage depends on. Skip them, and advanced AI investments collapse into coordination chaos rather than intelligence gains.
The critical inflection sits between functional intelligence and unified intelligence. Stage 4. Below it, AI improves departments. Above it, AI begins to change what the organization itself can be.
Stage 1 is individual AI usage. Every intelligence transformation begins personally. Advisors experiment with writing assistants, managers test analysis tools, marketers explore creative generation. A few technically curious employees begin using AI to make sense of information that once overwhelmed them.
Value here isn't efficiency, it's familiarity. This stage quietly rewires fear into fluency, allows people to experience AI as augmentation rather than replacement. Without it, every higher-order initiative becomes change management failure.
But these gains remain isolated. Insight improves, organization does not, which is why this stage always produces same realization. If this is useful for one person, it should be built into the work.
Stage 2 is AI inside processes. AI moves from personal productivity into operational flow. Lead scoring appears in CRM. Scheduling optimization enters service lane. Inventory forecasting augments parts planning. Reporting tools begin generating interpretations rather than summaries.
Each system improves measurable performance. Response times shorten, waste declines, decisions improve. This stage is often where organizations feel they're doing AI, and they are, but only inside logic of digital age.
Each AI capability strengthens workflow, delivers return, evaluated on its own success. What also begins surfacing, often subtly, are seams. Sales intelligence that doesn't account for service history. Marketing optimization that ignores delivery capacity.
At first, this friction appears to be a data problem. It's not. It's first signal that intelligence is trying to exceed boundaries of processes in which it has been placed.
Stage 3 is functional intelligence. Departments stop using AI as tool for assistance and start operating through it. Sales systems predict conversion probabilities, recommend pricing ranges, optimize follow-up strategies.
Service intelligence anticipates maintenance demand, manages bay utilization, coordinates technician skills. Marketing systems dynamically orchestrate personalization, channel mix, spend allocation. Each function becomes, in real sense, intelligent.
Performance improves dramatically, and so does complexity. Each department is no longer just executing work. It's generating interpretations, forecasts, strategic signals. Each is optimizing toward its own success metrics using its own learning loops inside its own operational context.
This is where most organizations find themselves. And this is where experience of progress quietly changes. Leadership meetings become harder to resolve. More insights arrive than can be reconciled. Systems disagree, committees multiply, decision cycles stretch.
This is the coordination ceiling, the point at which adding intelligence increases organizational friction faster than it increases organizational clarity. The organization has intelligent parts, but not intelligence as system.
Breaking through this ceiling requires shift most organizations underestimate. Not better integration, different architecture. This brings us to the critical threshold.
Stage 4 is unified intelligence, the real transition. This is where intelligence crosses entire organization and breaks down departmental silos. Intelligence systems stop operating as departmental assets and start functioning as shared cognitive layer across enterprise.
Customer context is no longer owned by marketing, sales, or service. It becomes organizational. Learning is no longer local. It becomes cumulative. Optimization no longer happens inside silos. It happens across outcomes.
In unified intelligence environment, customer is never handed off. They're continuously understood. Service history informs purchase experience. Purchase behavior reshapes service engagement. Financial profile influences marketing treatment. Life cycle value shapes operational decisions.
Systems don't just exchange data, they operate from same situational awareness. This is where AI stops improving processes and starts changing what organization can do. Decisions compress, experiences smooth, strategy becomes adaptive rather than reactive.
For first time, organization behaves more intelligently than any of its departments. This is architectural break. Everything below this stage can be built through tools. Everything above must be built through design. Chapter 6 addresses the executive paradox, managing AI. Why the leaders who built digital age success find intelligence age transformation uniquely challenging.
The chapter starts with uncomfortable truth most C-level executives won't say publicly. The biggest obstacle to intelligence transformation may be successful executives themselves. Not because they're doing anything wrong, but because they're doing what made them successful.
Skills, instincts, decision patterns that built success in transactional and digital ages push leaders toward tools, platforms, pilots, performance metrics. Those instincts worked. They scaled modern automotive enterprise.
But in intelligence era, they quietly work against transformation. Career was built mastering rules of digital age competition, evaluating technology investments, managing implementation projects, measuring ROI, driving organizational change.
Those skills got leaders to C-suite and likely served organizations well for years. But now they're sitting in strategy meetings, hearing phrases like AI intelligence architecture and coordination debt, and something inside resists.
Not because they don't understand concepts intellectually, but because they challenge assumptions that made them successful. Resistance feels rational. Why rebuild technology architecture when current systems work? Why invest in speculative capabilities when you can buy tools with measurable ROI?
These aren't wrong questions. They're right questions for competitive environment that shape their expertise. Problem is, competitive environment is shifting beneath them while they're still optimizing for it.
Chapter introduces go slow to go fast philosophy. There's this tension between urgency and prudence, pressure to implement AI now, but wisdom of taking time to architect intelligence capabilities systematically.
Traditional technology transformations rewarded speed because integration challenges could be addressed later. Most digital systems created value in isolation. Intelligence age transformation is different. Architecture must come first.
Moving fast on individual AI tools without architectural thinking creates coordination debt that prevents advanced intelligence capabilities from working. But once architecture exists, it enables rapid capability development.
Strategic insight is that executives who invest time understanding intelligence requirements and designing systematic architecture will ultimately move faster than those who rush into implementation without coordinated planning.
The emotional reality is that transformation challenges competence. Intelligence age leadership requires learning new approaches, which means temporarily feeling less expert than successful executives are used to feeling.
There's legacy concern. Will approaches that made you successful become obsolete? Responsibility weight, decisions affect hundreds or thousands of employees. Board pressure, stakeholders expect AI leadership while maintaining performance.
Chapter emphasizes experience provides foundation for intelligence age leadership rather than disqualifying from it. But individual organizational transformation doesn't work. Coordinated evolution across C-suite is essential.
The role-specific evolution is crucial. CEOs shift from market position to intelligence position. The mindset changes from how do we compete more effectively to how do we build capability to compete in ways that weren't possible before.
CFOs move from financial control to intelligence investment strategy. The reframe becomes ROI through learning capabilities that compound over time rather than what's the ROI on this tool?
CTOs transition from systems that process to systems that learn and coordinate. The mindset shifts from what do we implement to what infrastructure enables organizational learning and coordination.
CIOs evolve from data management to intelligence coordination. Information becomes coordination capability, not just storage and reporting. The question becomes, how do we enable intelligence coordination through information architecture?
The chapter emphasizes coordinated evolution across executive team. If each leader adapts individually, you still get fragmentation. If executive team adapts collectively, you create architecture-level coherence.
Most important implementation principle is that organizations must choose strategic direction within 3 to 6 months of assessment completion to avoid accidentally choosing tactical optimization through delayed decision-making.
Chapter 7 dives deep into the human architecture problem. Why intelligence fails inside organizations that were never designed to hold it.
Every intelligence architecture is built inside human architecture. Every organization in existence today was designed when artificial intelligence didn't exist. Intelligence had to live in people. Judgment, memory, coordination could only be human.
Organizations were constructed around that constraint. They were never designed to support intelligence as artificial system-level capability. That historical reality matters because AI isn't entering neutral environments.
It's entering structures optimized for world in which intelligence could only exist within human roles, processes, hierarchies. Those structures don't automatically accommodate intelligence that learns, predicts, coordinates on its own.
Research across major institutions shows roughly 70% of AI initiatives fail for reasons unrelated to technology. Not because models underperform or tools don't work, but because people aren't equipped to live alongside intelligence that learns, predicts, acts.
They fail because asking someone to trust a system that knows their customer better than they do feels like professional erasure. Middle managers discover AI exposes every inefficiency they've spent years learning to navigate around. Suddenly, hard-won expertise feels obsolete.
Frontline employees realize AI is surfacing patterns they missed, and instead of feeling supported, they feel surveilled. Executives approve AI initiatives expecting improved efficiency, but face organizational transparency they never prepared for.
When AI shows sales process consistently breaks down at same 3 predictable points, it's not just revealing operational friction, it's revealing leadership has been managing around problems instead of solving them.
When AI demonstrates customer satisfaction correlates more strongly with response timing than individual service quality, it doesn't just suggest process improvement, it questions entire performance management system.
This is why AI initiatives fail at human level, not because people resist technology, but because intelligence makes organizational denial unsustainable. Most organizations aren't designed for that level of honesty.
The chapter breaks down generational responses. For veteran professionals who built careers before digital systems were central, AI doesn't register as innovation first. It registers as threat to visibility.
Their value has always lived in what they know, what they've seen, what they can recognize that others miss. Fear isn't that machines will replace them, it's that depth they carry will become harder to see, less central to how organization works.
For Generation X, who came up modernizing dealerships through digital transformation, the tension is different. They're not unsettled by technology. They built careers implementing it. What AI destabilizes isn't comfort, but control.
They learned leadership through managing systems, optimizing departments, driving performance through structure. Intelligence systems change nature of that work. Influence flows through reporting lines, coordination happens across boundaries.
For millennials in mid-career management roles, AI represents separation opportunity. They're fluent in digital systems, adapt quickly, expect tools to evolve. What differentiates them isn't whether they can use AI, but whether they can rise above it.
For youngest professionals entering as Generation Z, AI isn't event, it's environment. They arrive comfortable with intelligent systems but lack industry grounding, pattern recognition, customer instincts, mechanical intuition that automotive excellence requires.
The chapter then tackles automotive culture specifically. Commission culture creates urgency. People live from deal to deal. When you tell salesperson AI will improve long-term customer relationships, immediate thought is whether this helps close deal they're working on right now.
Tribal knowledge creates apprenticeship culture where new people learn by watching veterans. Problem is they're learning techniques from different market era. This is how we've always done it isn't wisdom. It's often inertia.
Turf wars create kingdoms within kingdoms. Sales doesn't talk to service. Service doesn't trust parts. F&I operates independently. Everyone protects their territory, commission structure, way of doing things.
Trust deficit means most automotive professionals learned that when management gets better data, it means tighter monitoring, harder quotas, more criticism. Transparency means they can see everything you're doing wrong.
Survivor mentality comes from hearing every revolution. CRM will change everything. Digital retailing is future. Social media will revolutionize sales. Most meant more work, more systems, more complexity, maybe 5% improvement.
The chapter emphasizes that human architecture is intelligence architecture. You cannot build systems that learn faster than people can adapt. You cannot coordinate intelligence across departments that don't trust each other.
Technology diffuses, data strategies converge, vendors improve, features equalize. But organizations that learn how to think, lead, coordinate inside intelligent systems develop something harder to replicate. They attract stronger people, retain experience, coordinate faster.
They don't just run better operations, they become learning organizations inside sensing environment, and that's where durable advantage lives in Intelligence Age.
Chapter 8. When success masks the real problem, addresses something many organizations experience: AI success that doesn't feel sustainable.
After completing analysis of human architecture, this feeling makes perfect sense. You understand 70% of AI failures happen at organizational level. You recognize automotive culture creates specific resistance points requiring generational training strategies.
But understanding problem and solving it are different challenges. Most organizations discover implementing human architecture is harder than implementing technical architecture because people don't upgrade like systems do.
The uncomfortable realization surfaces. AI tools are working exactly as designed. Departments show measurable improvement, but people are still doing most coordination work manually.
Sales AI identifies opportunities, but salespeople still call service to check availability. Service AI optimizes scheduling, but advisors hunt across systems for customer context. Finance AI structures deals, but managers manually reconcile recommendations.
You have intelligent systems inside organization that still thinks like separate departments. This isn't technology problem, it's predictable outcome of deploying intelligence faster than developing intelligence literacy.
Chapter explains why automotive organizations feel confident about AI progress while quietly building toward fragmentation instead of intelligence. Every previous chapter explains why current approach feels successful while ensuring you'll never achieve organizational intelligence.
Historical success with digital transformation makes tool accumulation approach feel familiar and safe. AI literacy requires different skills than traditional technology adoption, but most organizations still use digital age training approaches.
Coordination debt forms slowly and invisibly, so it feels like maturity rather than dysfunction. Most organizations are stuck at stage 3, achieving departmental wins while missing architectural crossing to stage 4.
Executive instincts trained by digital age success actively work against intelligence age requirements. 5 cultural forces in automotive create resistance to intelligence coordination while making tool-based AI feel acceptable.
Chapter contrasts digital age success metrics, departmental performance improvement, ROI on individual implementations, user adoption rates, with intelligence age metrics like cross-departmental learning propagation, coordination friction reduction, organizational anticipation capability.
Problem is measuring first list while missing second entirely. This creates dangerous confidence gap. Dashboards show AI success, while organization quietly accumulates coordination debt.
Questions current metrics cannot answer. When service discovers customer insight, does sales automatically benefit? When AI identifies pattern in one location, does learning spread across network? Are people getting better at directing AI systems or just using tools?
Most organizations discover they're measuring AI activity instead of intelligence capability, counting implementations instead of coordination, tracking adoption instead of architecture, celebrating efficiency instead of evolution.
Chapter provides strategic framework for assessment. Current AI investments are not the problem. Architecture is. Most organizations have more intelligence architecture than they think. They just need to connect it to shared organizational memory.
3 coordination capabilities enable intelligence architecture, shared memory foundation, allowing AI systems to access unified context, dynamic context assembly, enabling systems to find relevant information when making decisions, proactive intelligence coordination, where systems observe conditions and take action.
Strategic assessment for current investments. Can systems share intelligence, learn together, create competitive advantages? All 3 capabilities mean build architecture around these foundations. 2 capabilities mean enhance missing coordination. 1 or none means replace with intelligence-ready alternatives.
Implementation strategy preserves current value while building systematic intelligence capability. Keep AI tools that coordinate, connect what can coordinate, replace what prevents coordination during renewal cycles.
Understanding why you feel successful while building fragmentation isn't same as knowing where you actually stand. Assessment becomes essential for honest strategic positioning before architectural decisions harden into constraints.
Chapter 9 is the mirror test, providing frameworks for honest organizational assessment of AI intelligence capability.
The hard part isn't the answer, it's asking the question. Most leadership teams don't avoid assessment because they're afraid of what they'll find. They avoid it because assessment destabilizes story of progress.
By this point, progress is real. AI tools are deployed, use cases are live, dashboards are richer, operations are more automated, teams are more informed. From outside and often inside, organization appears moving forward.
Which is exactly why this moment is difficult. Success metrics you're using to measure AI progress may be hiding architectural problems that prevent intelligence coordination. Assessment becomes difficult not because you're failing, but because you might be succeeding at wrong thing.
Transition from stage 3 to stage 4 is most often delayed and misdiagnosed. Below that line, AI improves functions. Above it, intelligence reshapes organization. But from surface, both look like progress.
Progress hides architecture. You see faster response times, higher appointment rates, improved service efficiency, cleaner reporting, more consistent workflows. By every digital age measure, investments are paying off.
Yet another signal often appears simultaneously, not failure, but friction. Handoffs that still feel manual, systems that still disagree, meetings that increasingly exist to reconcile intelligence, organization that feels more automated but not more coherent.
This is lived experience of operating with intelligence inside transactional structures. It's what coordination debt feels like before it's named. Why honest assessment becomes central act of leadership at this stage.
Assessment question that defines everything. When customer brings situation that spans sales, service, and finance, what actually happens in your organization? Not what systems are capable of theoretically, not what best people can accomplish with effort, what happens automatically.
Answer reveals whether you've built toward intelligence architecture or accumulated coordination debt, regardless of how impressive individual AI implementations appear.
Unified intelligence means complex situations resolve where they arise with full context automatically assembled. Functional intelligence means complex situations require human coordination between smart departments.
Chapter maps organizations against intelligence pyramid, emphasizing that crossing from stage 3 to stage 4 doesn't simply get better, it enters different competitive physics.
Stage 4 advantage includes speed without complexity, as decisions compress because context is automatically assembled. Learning that scales as discoveries immediately reshape behavior across systems. Customer experience coherence creating loyalty around systematic intelligence.
Anticipatory operations where problems are identified before they surface. These aren't incremental improvements. They're structural shifts that compound over time.
Why crossing to stage 4 determines competitive physics. Once workflows, data structures, vendor relationships harden around stage 3, crossing becomes exponentially harder.
Current investments become constraints. Systems optimized for local performance resist coordination. Vendor contracts designed for departmental ownership prevent shared intelligence. Staff trained on isolated tools struggle to coordinate across functions.
Assessment timing matters strategically. Organizations recognizing stage 3 position while foundations are flexible can redesign around unified intelligence. Discovering coordination limitations after years of optimization requires unwinding architectural decisions.
Stage 5 becomes strategic prize when internal intelligence becomes external market advantage. Seamless intelligence customers experience inside organization becomes standard they expect everywhere else.
Network intelligence means learning velocity becomes competitive moat. What you learn on one rooftop immediately improves performance everywhere else. Competitors must still transfer learning through training sessions and memos.
Ecosystem relationships become architectural advantages. OEMs, suppliers, partners begin aligning with intelligence capabilities rather than just business volume. Coordination capability makes you more valuable to work with.
Organizations reaching stage 5 early set coordination standards others adapt to. They don't just compete better, they change what customers expect, what partners require, what competition looks like.
Most dangerous position isn't being behind, it's being confident and misaligned. Organizations rarely fail at adoption, they fail at diagnosis. They measure activity instead of architecture, momentum instead of position.
Chapter exists to slow you down at exactly right moment, before investments harden into structures, before experiments quietly become architecture, before early advantages calcify into permanent constraints.
Chapter 10 explores why OEMs are part of your intelligence architecture story, examining ecosystem dynamics that affect every organizational strategy.
Individual organizational intelligence doesn't exist in isolation. Every participant in automotive ecosystem, dealers, OEMs, suppliers, service networks, is making same architectural choice between intelligence coordination and tool accumulation.
Ecosystem either evolves together towards systematic intelligence or fragments into competing coordination systems requiring manual reconciliation. OEMs possess vehicle intelligence, engineering data, production planning that no dealer network can replicate.
Dealer groups possess customer intelligence, local market knowledge, service coordination that no OEM can match. Suppliers possess parts intelligence, logistics coordination, network optimization that neither dealers nor OEMs can build independently.
When these intelligence capabilities coordinate as ecosystem, they create advantages that isolated intelligence cannot achieve. But when each participant builds intelligence in isolation, entire ecosystem operates through manual coordination between intelligent systems.
Chapter presents the OEM paradox through boardroom conversation, where Chief Strategy Officer asks, what happens to our business model when dealers become more loyal to their own intelligence networks than to our brand requirements?
She wasn't talking about contracts, she was talking about gravity. Progressive dealer groups coordinating customer experience, inventory strategy, service operations across Ford, Chevrolet, Toyota simultaneously.
Their intelligence systems learning across rooftops, across OEMs, across entire customer life cycles. Customers weren't experiencing brands anymore, they were experiencing systems. For customer, brand wasn't the center, it was one node.
OEMs now occupy most unstable position in automotive system. They have more power, data, reach, technical expertise than any other participant. And they have most to lose from how intelligence reorganizes industry.
OEMs alone sit at intersection of engineering, production, telemetry, supply chains, service networks, dealer operations, multi-decade customer relationships. From structural standpoint, they're only participants positioned to build intelligence architectures spanning full ecosystem.
But same scale that gives OEMs architectural authority also makes transformation dangerous. Ecosystem intelligence requires opening decision loops that were once closed, sharing forms of intelligence that were once sources of control.
For organizations built on command of production, this isn't upgrade, it's surrender of old certainties. OEMs carry billions in infrastructure optimized for tightly managed flows.
Control was never same as coordination. For most of automotive history, control was organizing principle. Manufacturers controlled production schedules, quality standards, dealer requirements, supplier contracts, brand positioning.
Intelligence doesn't behave like previous technology layers. It becomes valuable only when it sees across organizational boundaries, when it learns patterns extending beyond single workflow, brand, or company.
Question OEMs face isn't whether they can deploy AI. It's whether they can accept what AI demands in return. If industry were starting from blank slate, manufacturers would be obvious architects of intelligence layer.
They alone command resources on scale no dealer group can approach. Their strategic horizons stretch across decades. They coordinate thousands of suppliers, govern global dealer networks, hold longitudinal data across entire ownership life cycles.
But they face deeper tension than technology readiness. Challenge of leading system that only works if no one fully controls it. Every manufacturer is already choosing path, whether deliberately or by default.
Some attempting to extend existing control models, adding AI to manufacturing, marketing, forecasting while maintaining tight coordination. Others cautiously experimenting with intelligence sharing, some hesitating, hoping clarity emerges.
But industry isn't waiting. Dealer groups building network intelligence, suppliers aligning with shared data platforms, customers responding to whoever delivers continuity.
OEMs no longer choosing if ecosystem intelligence will emerge. They're choosing who designs it. Architecture allows them to remain orchestrators, shaping how intelligence flows, how value is created, how standards form.
Inheritance turns them into highly optimized participants inside systems they didn't design, where influence is earned through contribution rather than command. Neither path implies irrelevance, but only one preserves leadership.
Greatest competitive advantages won't come from OEMs or dealers achieving intelligence independently, but from dealer-OEM intelligence coordination, creating capabilities neither can build alone.
Service decisions informed by engineering intelligence and local relationship knowledge. Purchase timing guided by predictive maintenance data and customer lifecycle patterns. Warranty experiences coordinating OEM policies with dealer relationships.
Chapter emphasizes that organizational intelligence assessment affects ecosystem positioning. Intelligence capabilities you build will either position you as coordination leader that OEMs want to partner with, or coordination dependent, adapting to systems designed by others.
Chapter 11 presents the pioneer's strategic choice, the fundamental decision between pioneering during formation or following during maturation.
After completing organizational assessment and understanding ecosystem dynamics, every automotive organization faces same strategic choice: build intelligence architecture during formation period or wait for proven playbooks.
This isn't about AI readiness, it's about strategic positioning and timing. Pioneer path means architecting intelligence coordination while standards are still flexible, developing institutional AI literacy before competitive pressure intensifies.
Shaping ecosystem coordination standards rather than inheriting them, building capabilities that compound into systematic advantages. Follow a path means implementing proven approaches once they stabilize.
Avoiding early-stage experimentation costs and architectural mistakes, focusing on execution excellence within established standards, achieving competitive parity through disciplined implementation.
Neither path is wrong, but they lead to fundamentally different strategic positions. Organizations choosing pioneer path during formation determine what follower path looks like during maturation.
Pioneers write playbooks that followers inherit. Question facing every automotive organization isn't whether you're ready for AI. It's whether you're willing to accept responsibility for shaping what automotive intelligence becomes.
Organizations engaging during formation period don't just acquire tools earlier. They develop institutional instincts that later adopters cannot purchase.
Leadership literacy and intelligence systems where C-suite executives develop intuitive understanding of what creates coordination versus fragmentation. Management learns to direct adaptive systems rather than just manage static tools.
Cultural fluency in human-AI coordination, where teams develop natural collaboration patterns, generational differences become coordination advantages, AI literacy becomes embedded in professional development.
Architectural intuition, where organizations learn to sense when intelligent systems need adjustment before performance degrades. Vendor relationships develop around coordination capability rather than feature competition.
ecosystem positioning capability through early coordination relationships, intelligence sharing agreements established during formation, market influence through intelligence orchestration rather than operational excellence.
These capabilities cannot be bought later because they're learned through experience, not taught through training. Organizations waiting for certainty miss learning period that creates institutional advantage.
Pioneer organizations absorb real costs, learning curve costs, uncertainty burden, change management overhead, resource allocation risk, but they gain standard setting authority, first mover ecosystem positioning, compound capability advantages.
Strategic trade-off means followers avoid pioneer costs, but sacrifice strategic positioning. They achieve competitive parity through proven approaches, but cannot achieve competitive leadership.
There's no neutral position. Organizations delaying intelligence architecture development don't avoid frontier. They arrive later under coordination standards established by others.
Economic reality of intelligence systems is that learning advantages compound. Organizations building systematic intelligence early develop capabilities that widen over time, making pioneer timing strategic positioning decision with permanent implications.
Automotive intelligence era is being written now through organizational experiments, cultural adaptations, architectural discoveries, ecosystem coordination patterns.
Organizations engaging during formation don't just implement intelligence earlier, they participate in defining what automotive intelligence becomes. This participation creates influence extending beyond individual competitive advantage.
Their coordination approaches influence vendor development priorities. Their intelligence standards become ecosystem requirements. Their architectural choices shape industry transformation patterns. Their success models become frameworks others adopt.
By time intelligence coordination playbooks stabilize, competitive landscape they describe will already reflect choices pioneer organizations made during formation. Chapter 12 concludes with the AI future we're building, a vision of pioneer success, showing logical destination from current pioneer development rather than fantasy futures.
It's difficult in middle of transformation to recognize you're living inside early chapters of new era. In late 1990s, companies built websites without knowing what digital business meant.
Organizations conducting systematic intelligence development today aren't implementing AI. They're discovering what intelligence-driven automotive organizations actually look like. Current experimental successes aren't endpoints. They're early signals.
Customer experience evolution already beginning, pioneer organizations demonstrating experiences that cannot be recreated through isolated AI tools, no matter how advanced. These experiences are changing customer expectations.
What pioneers are proving is simple but powerful. When sales, service, finance, operations coordinate automatically around shared intelligence layer, customer stops experiencing departments and starts experiencing continuity.
Customers encountering this coordination feel difference immediately. They don't articulate it as AI. They experience it as being known, anticipated, understood across time, needs, decisions.
Once customers experience that continuity, traditional departmental excellence begins feeling fragmented. Expectations, once raised, don't retreat. Organizations delivering seamless intelligence become reference point.
By 2030, intelligence coordination won't feel innovative. It'll feel normal. Organizations still relying on manual coordination will feel dated, regardless of how strong their individual teams remain.
Operational learning advantages compound differently than linear improvements. Organizations with coordinated intelligence no longer dependent on manual optimization cycles, quarterly process redesigns, isolated performance initiatives.
Their systems learn continuously, insights propagate automatically, improvements spread across enterprise without requiring translation. Result isn't just better operations, it's different improvement curve.
Learning advantages compound. They don't plateau. Each interaction teaches system. Each pattern strengthens prediction. Each coordination loop tightens performance. Over time, this creates gaps that cannot be closed by effort alone.
By 2030, operational difference will no longer be visible as better tools. It'll appear as fundamentally different organizational capability.
Strategic positioning advantages emerge as intelligence coordination matures, enabling organizations to influence market behavior rather than merely respond to it. They see shifts earlier, shape customer journeys more deliberately.
This is how competitive standards are born. Market leaders don't just outperform competitors, They redefine what customers expect, normalize new levels of service, set pace others must follow.
Intelligence coordination approaches proving successful today won't remain optional. They'll quietly become operating assumptions of automotive competition.
Three-tier competitive hierarchy emerging from pioneer development. By 2030, automotive organizations unlikely to differ primarily by size, footprint, brand portfolio. They'll differ in how intelligence moves through enterprise.
Tier 1. Intelligence architecture leaders, building enterprises where learning compounds, customer relationships span full life cycles, strategy continuously informed by predictive insight. Leadership sustained not by scale alone, but by organizational cognition.
Tier 2. Intelligence coordination participants achieving unified coordination, participating effectively in intelligence-driven markets, delivering consistent, seamless service while competing within standards established by leaders.
Tier 3. Individual tool optimization organizations continuing sophisticated AI systems without resolving coordination issues. By 2030, their reality isn't technological weakness, it's structural friction.
They're capable but slower, automated but fragmented, data-rich but coordination poor. Their challenge isn't adopting intelligence, it's unwinding coordination debt created before intelligence architecture was understood.
Why this chapter matters. It reframes where you actually are. Not late, not behind, not missing playbook. Early. Early enough that standards are still forming. Organizational architecture matters more than vendor choice. Advantage comes from learning, not execution speed.
Most dangerous misconception is that future is already defined and leaders simply need to select right tools. It isn't. Automotive intelligence era is being written now through experiments, partial successes, integration failures, cultural friction, architectural discovery.
Pioneers aren't winning because they know destination. They're winning because they're building it. Organizations engaging now aren't buying advantage. They're authoring it.
By time playbooks are clear, competitive landscape they describe will already belong to someone else.
Now let's dive deep into the appendix, because this is where strategic concepts become practical frameworks that you can actually implement starting today.
The appendix provides operational tools translating this book's strategic thinking into executable organizational change. It assumes you've absorbed concepts from main chapters and are ready to apply architectural thinking to your specific context.
Think of appendix as bridge from understanding intelligence requirements to building intelligence capability. The book gives you why and what. Appendix gives you how.
It opens with AI architecture principles, 5 core disciplines ensuring your technical investments build toward coordination rather than fragmentation. These aren't technology standards, they're organizational disciplines.
Principle 1 is coordination by design. The challenge is that most AI systems are optimized for individual function performance. Vendors focus on making tools excel within departmental boundaries, with integration handled through data exports and API connections.
The principle means selecting and implementing AI systems, assuming their greatest value lies in informing other systems, not just performing isolated tasks. During vendor evaluation, prioritize systems that can share context and learning.
Principle 2 is learning architecture, not static automation. Many AI deployments optimize current best practices without building capacity for continuous improvement. They automate what we know works, rather than how we discover what works better.
The principle means implementing systems so operational experience becomes training data that improves organizational capability over time. Modern AI platforms include built-in feedback loops and performance tracking.
Principle 3 is predictive foundation, not reporting layer. Most organizations first encounter AI as enhanced reporting, explaining what happened or highlighting current patterns. This creates comfort but limits strategic value to historical analysis.
The principle means structuring systems to detect emerging patterns and anticipate changes before they consolidate into visible trends. Predictive models can identify leading indicators from operational data in real time.
Principle 4 is human-AI partnership, not task replacement. Organizations often deploy AI as labor substitution, limiting value to cost reduction rather than capability enhancement.
The principle means designing interfaces, workflows, incentives around cognitive amplification, making human judgment more informed rather than removing humans from decisions.
Principle 5 is adaptive systems. Technology evolves rapidly. Systems designed as fixed implementations become obsolete within 18 to 24 months, requiring complete rebuilds rather than upgrades.
The principle means treating AI systems as modular, upgradable participants in larger intelligence environment rather than embedded tools in rigid workflows. Modern platforms support model swapping, capability updates, API evolution without workflow disruption.
Organizations can incorporate AI improvements as they emerge rather than wait for major system overhauls every 2 to 3 years. Implementing these principles individually improves AI performance. Implementing them as coordinated system creates something different.
Organizations develop institutional intelligence persisting beyond individual employees or technologies. Compound learning advantage, where improvements accelerate rather than plateau. Strategic anticipation enabling market positioning based on emerging patterns.
The AI investment audit provides practical frameworks for evaluating whether your current AI systems can coordinate or just coexist effectively.
This addresses the question, are you building intelligence architecture or just accumulating sophisticated tools? The audit maps current AI implementations across departments, then evaluates each using specific questions.
Can your AI systems share intelligence? When service AI learns about customer preferences, does sales AI automatically know? If parts AI identifies seasonal demand pattern, do marketing and service AIs adjust recommendations automatically?
Do your AI systems learn together? When one improves at something, do others get smarter too? If sales discovers successful approach with customer type, does service start using similar approaches?
Do your AI systems create competitive advantages? Do they enable customer experiences competitors with individual tools cannot match? Can they anticipate customer needs before customers express them?
The Organizational Intelligence Readiness Assessment evaluates whether your team is prepared to work with sophisticated coordination equipment.
Leadership Intelligence Readiness asks, can executive team think strategically about AI capabilities instead of just measuring individual tool performance? Can managers direct AI systems to solve business problems instead of just monitoring whether systems work?
Staff AI Coordination Readiness evaluates, can staff combine automotive expertise with AI recommendations instead of choosing between trusting experience or trusting AI? Are people willing to learn working with systems that get smarter over time?
The implementation timeline section provides realistic expectations for organizational change requirements that most vendors' presentations completely ignore.
Weeks 1 through 6 involve infrastructure development behind scenes. Staff experience daily operations continuing unchanged with no new systems to learn, occasional IT requests for system access or data clarification.
What's actually happening? Data extraction and standardization from existing systems, cloud infrastructure setup, initial AI model configuration, data quality assessment, and business rule development.
Weeks 7 through 12 involve soft integration with gradual introduction. Staff experience new insights appearing in familiar systems, enhanced context in customer interactions without workflow changes.
Weeks 13 through 24 bring active intelligence coordination. Decision-making feels more informed and less fragmented. Complex customer situations resolve more smoothly without additional effort.
The Data Architecture Implementation section addresses technical foundation enabling intelligence coordination, which is neither automatic nor simple.
A data lake functions as organizational memory, but building one supporting intelligence coordination involves significant technical and organizational work often glossed over in vendor presentations.
The section distinguishes traditional integration from intelligence coordination. Traditional integration involves message passing, where one system notifies another that something happened, but each continues operating according to its own logic.
Intelligence coordination means shared context where all systems operate from same underlying understanding. Learning in one area immediately influences behavior elsewhere. Context flows continuously rather than through discrete transactions.
The vendor evaluation framework recognizes vendor relationships for intelligence systems function as infrastructure partnerships rather than software subscriptions.
Most AI procurement focuses on feature comparison and cost optimization. This approach worked for digital tools but creates systemic risk with intelligent systems. When platforms cannot coordinate effectively, vendor decisions compound into coordination debt.
Primary evaluation criteria include context-sharing architecture, asking how systems share learning and context with other AI platforms. Can systems access and contribute to shared organizational memory?
Learning coordination capability evaluates when systems improve. Can other systems benefit from that learning? Does platform support shared learning models or only isolated optimization?
Data portability and ownership asks, if we outgrow platform, what happens to intelligence it has accumulated? Can organizational learning be exported and applied in other systems?
The framework contrasts tool suppliers focused on individual system performance with infrastructure partners committed to organizational intelligence development. Commercial incentive structures differ fundamentally.
The appendix concludes with strategic choice framework, the fundamental decision between tactical AI optimization and intelligence architecture development.
Path 1, tactical optimization, maintains existing organizational structure while adding intelligent capabilities. Focus on measurable ROI from individual implementations, competitive parity through technology adoption.
Path 2, intelligence architecture development, builds systematic coordination as foundational organizational capability. Design implementations to strengthen collective intelligence rather than individual functions.
Strategic outcomes, competitive advantages based on systematic intelligence rather than operational efficiency. Customer experience differentiation, competitors cannot replicate through tool acquisition.
Organizations must choose strategic direction within 3 to 6 months of assessment completion to avoid accidentally choosing path 1 through delayed decision-making.
What strikes me most about this comprehensive resource is how it balances conceptual understanding with practical implementation guidance while maintaining narrative progression throughout.
Exactly. It's not predictions about vendor choices or implementation timelines, but clarity about organizational decisions determining whether AI becomes systematic intelligence or sophisticated coordination overhead.
The book gives automotive professionals better language for conversations we're already having, better questions about AI investments, better frameworks for designing human and technical systems that actually coordinate.
The organizations engaging with these frameworks over the next 18 months will establish approaches others follow for the next decade. They'll write the playbooks everyone else inherits.
What's remarkable is how each chapter builds on previous ones to create complete picture of what's changing, why it's changing now, and what it means for competitive positioning going forward.
From understanding why you can't simply adopt AI like previous technologies through coordination debt and the intelligence pyramid to human architecture and ecosystem dynamics, it all connects into coherent transformation framework.
The appendix tools make it immediately actionable. Assessment frameworks, implementation timelines, vendor evaluation criteria, strategic choice framework. Everything needed to move from understanding to execution.
Download the complete resource at autoagentic.ai/book. Work through it systematically, chapter by chapter. Use the assessment tools to honestly evaluate your current position.
Challenge your current AI strategy against these frameworks. The competitive landscape crystallizing over the next few years will reward intelligence architecture development while penalizing continued tool accumulation.
Organizations building systematic learning capability early will compete on organizational cognition rather than operational efficiency alone. That's the future being written right now.
This episode was produced by the team at Agentic. Learn more at autoagentic.ai. Special thanks to our colleague Barry Hillier, co-founder and CEO, for creating these comprehensive frameworks and sharing them freely with our industry.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on intelligence architecture, your assessment results, or coordination challenges you're experiencing. Email us at autoagentic.ai.
New episodes every Tuesday. Thanks for joining this comprehensive exploration of building automotive intelligence architecture systematically rather than accidentally.
The playbook is being written now. Use these frameworks to write it thoughtfully. Until next time, keep thinking architecturally.
And remember, the automotive professionals willing to think architecturally about these decisions will be the ones who shape what this industry becomes. That future belongs to all of us.